Hi, guys.
Coach, we've talked about the potential of some of these young receivers for a long time, and I recognize, not every completion is born of the same thing. Some of it's good route running, some of it's bad coverage, whatever. But just, whether it's Donovan with the long run, Omar with the way he was kind of able to evade guys on that catch, just what does a game like that do, I guess, for the confidence of a young group there where you can see the talent and maybe now you can put it on film to say this is what you guys can do collectively?
Yeah, well, we're going to find out what it does for their confidence for sure, because now there's video evidence, right? So I would assume, knowing those guys, that it's going to do a lot of good for their confidence going forward. That you got video evidence against top 10 teams. So and like you say, Dono, he better score on that one, right? I mean, has never been a more open wide receiver in the history of football, so he needs to do that one. But then Coop definitely ran a good route and made a good move and got in the end zone. So, yeah, I think it's going to do a lot of good for him.
In terms of Jalen Lucas, his touches have been kind of down the last 3 weeks. How have you tried to kind of reverse that and get him the ball a little bit? And have you noticed him being down at all? I know he's kind of struggled on special teams a little bit with punt returns. Just kind of what's his mindset like right now?
Well, I mean, I'm not involved with special teams, so I can't speak to that, right? But no, Jalen is a high priority for us to get him touches. And he's also a high priority for the defense to make sure we don't get him touches. So there's a little bit of a cat and mouse game there going on, right? That we're trying to be creative. We're trying to get him touches, but at the same time, defense takes him away, then something else is there. So there remains to be a high priority with us. That's not going to change. He's dynamic. Certainly, hasn't been that the last 2 weeks because his touches are down. So my job to get his touches up and do that. But it's also, you got to move the offense and you got to win the game, score points. So, there's a lot of things going into that, but that's still a priority.
Yeah, that penultimate offensive possession, just with the way that the way that it played out with 3 straight runs and then all of that. So I'm pretty sure Coach Allen mentioned more aggression was kind of one thing that he noticed watching over. He would have liked to have seen. Just walk us through your thought process in that situation, if there's anything that you would change in retrospect.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. Now that the first 2 runs didn't work, I would have passed it now. I mean, they didn't work, right? If they would have worked, it would have been awesome. But, yeah, it's like any play call that you do. If it works, it's great. If it doesn't, you wish you had done something else. So that's no different now. But Coach and I were together on that. We were on the same page on the 3rd down, certainly. And like I say, the first 2 didn't work the way we wanted them to. So you'd like to have them over now.
Hey, Coach. I know obviously you look at the rushing numbers are still where you guys want it to be, but it seemed like when you guys – when you wanted to run the ball, sometimes when you kind of needed to run the ball, you're more effective this week. I guess kind of talk about the growth, not just the O-line, but just the running backs getting Josh back and Trent and getting him more involved and all that.
Yeah, I just saw Josh up here. It was good to have him back. We were all happy to get him back. He's played a lot of football around here. So he was certainly a big part. And Trent, obviously, and, CT has had some time this year too. But, you take the sack yard, which you can't take the sack yardage out of it. I get it. But, if you do take the sack yardage out of that thing, we're averaging about 4 yards a carry there, and that's effective running. It's not where it needs to be. None of it is, guys. Like, I'm going to say it again. It's all below the line until you win. And then there's probably still some things that are still below the line even when you do win. But it's all below the line. But certainly being effective, in the run game is last 2 weeks it's been better, but still below the line.
Yeah, just what were some of your takeaways from the way Brendan played Saturday? Some of the things he can build off and what you want him to keep working on, I guess.
Again, I think he played his rear end off. I really do. I don't question that. That's 2 weeks in a row. I think he's played his rear end off. There are a lot of things that, and he knows this, I'm not speaking out of school here. There are a lot of things we got to get going. But certainly his poise on how to operate the offense in a hostile environment with all the different things that we were doing offensively as far as pre-snap motions and movements and things like that was very impressive for a young guy. But there are some things that we left out there yet from the quarterback position, and we just got to grow up. We got to get there faster. They're just it's just life today. It's like being a quarterback in the NFL, right? There's no more thing than sitting a rookie down for a couple of years and letting them grow, unless you're Aaron Rodgers or Jordan Love, right? They seem to be what no one else does. So you got to get them up, get them going. But there's some improvement there again. But I'm going to stress, until you win, it's all below the line.
I know, like you talked about, you can't change the calls that already happened at the end of the game, and you just.
Oh, if you could, wouldn't it be awesome? You go back and just switch one or two, like that'd be every game. Yeah.
But I'm just wondering if you could kind of take us through your process of when you go through film after the games, and kind of how you kind of evaluate your own calls after the fact.
Oh, I'm my own worst critic. Like, you guys can't even hold a pen to me on that. I mean, there's no way. I've never called a game in my life that I haven't had calls that I want back. And that's when we've won by a lot, we've lost by a lot, we've won close ones and lost close ones. I have never had that. I don't think I ever will. I don't watch the game right afterwards because I'm usually just too aggravated. Win or loss, I'm just too aggravated. I usually wait. But I was sitting next to Bob Bostad on the plane on the way back, and he had his iPad out, and of course, I'm trying to not, and he's got it over there. And so what is my head doing the whole time? Well, eventually I'm sitting right next to him. We had a seat between us, and we're going through the whole thing. He's getting aggravated at me because I want to watch the wide, and he only want to watch the tight. So yeah, it was a little comical. I think Coach Allen snapped his head around. We were arguing with each other about a bunch of stuff too. So yeah, I didn't want to watch it after, but I did. Okay. Go ahead.
Mason, then.
I guess then looking at the preview process, you mentioned that the review is extensive. How extensive is the looking ahead, and what is that process like?
Yeah, well, that's game planning, right? I mean, that's what we did here late last night. I came in here at 5 a.m. this morning, and we'll be here a long time today. And tomorrow, then you incorporate what you think you can do, you practice it, you throw it out, you keep going, and that goes all the way really until Friday night, and I change my mind about 15,000 times between now and then. So, and then Friday night you're done, and you go from there. I change my mind. The game plan's set so the kids know it, and they know what's coming, but I change maybe some sequencing stuff all the time. So that is not a good answer to that, man. That's all the time. It's all the time.
I guess this might be a bit of a loaded question. I recognize you've had to sort of do it all fast, but when you talk about maybe marrying, play calling to understanding tendencies and strengths of your players, just where do you feel like you are as somebody who's obviously done that a lot in your career, now having to kind of do it midstream with this group? Just, I don't know if you could put a percentage on it or anything, but just maybe how much more comfortable do you feel than when you kind of dug your hands in at first?
Oh, then the first day?
Yeah,
well,
the first few days.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Light years from the first day, first week, but light years from where it should be. And I'm not saying that, I'm not using that as an excuse. I'm not using that as anything. It just is what it is, on that. So we're, you just get, like I told you guys in the beginning, I like what works. So we're trying to keep finding those things that work. So we're getting better at it. We're going. A lot more to do. Go ahead.
You mentioned Storsby played his rear end off. I'm curious, with your past as an offensive lineman and working with that unit.
I played O-line a long time ago. I don't think I could play anymore. My knees don't got it in me, Don. George took it all out of me, man. Now go ahead.
So hypothetically, if you are out there, but just kind of, I guess, an overall picture, when you have a quarterback with that type of physicality and that type of effort, how does that change things for the whole offense? Or maybe help things for the offense?
Yeah, there was a run he had where he took he lowered his shoulder, and the second guy came in and kind of got him from behind. I think it was on that drive that we missed the field goal. And he took off and ran, and he took a big shot, and he popped right back up. And, I think that shows everybody on that field with him, what he's willing to do because, you know, they're doing it the whole time too. So I think it can only be a positive, right? Only a positive.
Pete, last one.
This question
Pete,
comes
do you
from,
always wrap it up?
well,
Are you always last one?
apparently I do, especially with this question, because it's a request from a Jeff K. in Bloomington.
Oh, really?
Yes, and it's an incredible question, and he wants to know why Zach Carpenter is so much more athletic than, say, a center from early 90s.
You know, I only have, when he is more athletic than me, there is no question about it. Zach is more athletic than me, so I have no problem saying that. But the source of this question, I question its purity. And as soon as I get off this mic, we're going to have to talk about that purity.
As you should,
Yeah.
you should.
Is that it? All right, thanks, guys. Have a good one.